And you have Mr. DeSantis behind you.
I do. I have a little bit of a crush. I don't know if you've heard.
How can you not? How can you not have a crush?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. You know why,
Yeah.
Chrissy? It's because of these. It's because he's got these.
She's got
I was like, is that
giant
garlic?
balls.
Is that garlic?
No,
in a,
it's huge.
I thought it was garlic in like a little kitchen, like a
No,
netting.
these are balls.
His
balls.
balls are his balls. I heard his balls are way bigger than that, though. They're way bigger.
Really?
Those are tiny balls. Yeah, those are like miniature balls. I feel like his balls are way bigger than those miniature balls. Wow.
I appreciate him so much, especially lately. Like I think he's just been doing a great job. And I don't know if that's because the bar is set so low for leadership, conservative and, leadership on the right, or it's just because he's really being proactive now, especially with this new Victims of Communism Day, which he just announced, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. He's actually being proactive and wants students to learn about like the evils of communism instead of just letting it be kind of, I don't know, glorified, commercialized. Like I knew not so much when I was in college, but now I see a lot of college age students just wearing like Che Guevara shirts and they think communism means everyone gets free shit and free college. And it's like every young, dumb person wants free stuff. And that's when they try to recruit you for this shit, is when you're young and dumb and you haven't worked for a living yet.
Right. And you don't realize that you're eventually going to be the person to pay for the free shit.
And when you're young,
right,
you'll never think it'll be you when you're young, because you're like, oh, I've always had these parents that pay for all this pesky stuff. So I guess I want to know, Miriam, when did your crush with Ron DeSantis start? Was it just over his policies or his boyish good looks, or both?
Well, I mean, I would have to say it started as soon as the photos of him in his uniform were released.
So what uniform? Hold on.
The military uniform, when he was a SEAL. Hello, you've not seen that?
How have
Girl.
Oh my God.
Right.
Hello, Daddy. Okay, he does. I'm going to bring these up. Normally I don't I just bring up whatever I Google, because I learned that the hard way. Sometimes you get a little sneaky extra photo come in. But look at this. What is it about a man who can wear a white uniform that turns me on? Maybe it's just like, oh, wow, there's no stains on it. And that's just enough.
I mean, that's how it started. But honestly, it was when he actually started leading ahead of any other Republican governor in the country. When he started getting out in front of every issue, I feel like that for me was like a year and a half ago. I mean, it was he made a name for himself so quickly and then just took charge of the conversation. And now I feel like so many other governors are just sort of following him in line, which they should, because he's doing absolutely everything right.
Do you think, like they're following him? It's almost like, not that they didn't have the idea, or do you think it takes somebody to lead and set an example? I mean, surely his ideas must be ideas that Republican leadership across the country have had. It just takes him to be the first guy to do it, and then it's not as much of a risk, I guess, for other leaders to be like, oh yeah, we'll do that too.
A lot of them aren't doing it, though. A lot of them are not doing it. Like, you would think that they would take the risk and do it, but there's so many Republicans that we see across the country that are they're completely ballless and they're not doing it. They're total wusses and they're acting like Democrats. So you'd think that they would, at least copy him, because they can take the easy way and copy him, but a lot of them aren't, which is so disheartening. And so we're disappointed in so many. I mean, I speak for myself. I'm disappointed in so many across the country who are, just copy the guy, for crying out loud. And they don't even do that. Yeah.
If you could name like a couple that are like particularly disappointing that you feel like it would be easy for them to follow in, both of you.
I live in Indiana, and our governor, whose wedding Amy, Joe, and I were in. Okay, so we've had a long relationship. A complete disappointment as governor, and I hate to say that, but it's fact. And I've asked the question. She's asked the question. We've asked each other the question: why would he not just copy DeSantis? Why would he not just take the blueprint and go. But he's absolutely behaved like a Democrat on basically every issue. So I don't get it. Where did she go?
She dipped out. She'll be back. I'm sure it's there. She is.
There
I'm
she
sure
is.
I'm having
sorry,
internet issues this morning too.
No, I got out. It wasn't me. I had to get out because something was funky with the audio. I just couldn't hear her for a second. So I knew if I rebooted, I'd be okay. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, you
It's
guys.
okay. You didn't miss anything. We were just talking about how we're disappointed in Indiana.
Governor Holcomb is a big, yeah. I got that part. Yeah.
What do you think they are afraid of, the Republican leaders that don't step up and follow DeSantis's example? What do you think they are afraid of, or who do you think they are afraid of? Like, what is the worst that could happen at this point? Like, what could possibly be the downside? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, get in the mind of these men and women who lead, who aren't taking DeSantis's example. Like, what do they think is going to happen? What's so terrible about following him?
I thought maybe a lot of these people get into political office and we have these high hopes for them, right? And then they get into what we call the hot tub, and it gets really comfortable in that hot tub, and they start getting back rubs from lobbyists and like people who I don't know if they get, you know, when I say back rubs, do they get money? Do they get favors? Do they get what? I don't know what they get in return. I don't know what the comfort is for them, but they seem to lose their backbone. They seem to lose their hunger to make a difference and do the things that they said they were going to do for their constituents. And so they change. I mean, they really change when they get into office, because, you know, some of these people we knew personally when they got in, they're not the same people when they get into office. And you're like, wait a second, you said you're going to do X, Y, Z, and then you get in there and it's like, you're awfully comfortable being a Democrat when you were a Republican like 5 minutes ago. So what the hell is that? You know, so it is really disheartening. I don't know why they don't fulfill their promises, because it can be done. Because if you look at somebody like a Mitch Daniels, for instance, he was Indiana governor and he did the things. He actually did the things he said he was going to do. He did them well. So it can
was
be
he the
done.
former? Yeah. Was he the former governor before this one took office?
Before Pence. So
right.
Mitch Daniels and then Mike Pence until he was tapped for VP, and then Eric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting when you're like, well, we knew these people personally. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that there's like some need that they have. And I don't know. I mean, I'm totally speculating, but I wonder if they have a need to just play in the entire sandbox and they don't want to alienate anyone. Right. So then they just kind of hover in what they think is the middle, not realizing that they were elected because we wanted them to do the things that we wanted them to do, conservative things. And then they get there and they're like, oh, but we don't want to make this group of people mad. And we want to try to please everybody. And you can't. You have to take a stand and have integrity. And that's what DeSantis, I think, has shown more than anybody else.
Right. Which is why a lot of people hate DeSantis, right? I mean, there are people that hate DeSantis for the same reasons that people hated Trump, only DeSantis doesn't tweet, you know?
Right. Right. Somebody's kept his Twitter off of his phone, and
right.
Maybe he doesn't drink. I don't know. Whatever he's doing,
exactly.
He's doing it right.
Exactly.
Oh man, and it is frustrating because we elect these people because we are unhappy with the status quo, and then they get into office and they go, oh well, I don't want to upset the people on the far left or the far right, or so then they end up, in their kind of fear, they end up maintaining the status quo. Like they don't do anything because they're like, oh, well, I'm here. I got the job. I want to make sure everybody likes me. But it's like, this shouldn't be the job you go for to be liked.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. You're not Obama. Come on.
Right. And for the people that don't like DeSantis, I mean, if just move out of Florida. And like, also, what could you possibly, he's not even doing anything that's crazy. I think if he were in office, like, I don't know, in the 90s, no one would like think that he was being all that crazy, you know, before racism, all the way in the 90s.
Right. Right. His approval rating would be like across the country. He'd probably be like a 90% approval rating. Everybody would freaking love him.